you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. If you can hear my voice, clap 3 times. Hello, good morning class. My name is Mrs. Sherwood. Today we are going to be learning about creating the rules for the sum of 2 even numbers, the sum of 2 odd numbers, and 1 even number plus 1 odd number. First we will learn some vocabulary words, and then we will go over some simple examples to learn the steps. You will need to write down the vocabulary words and the steps in your math notebooks, as well as the example problems. I will then hand out a worksheet with some practice problems for you and your partner to work on together. So y'all are already, y'all's desks are already paired up in groups of 2, so you and your partner will go ahead and work on them together. Y'all are already partnered up together. I will set a timer for 10 minutes, and that is the amount of time that you and your partner will have to work on the problems together. When the timer goes off, I will ask for 4 volunteers to write the problems on the board, work out the problems, and explain to the class how you got your answer. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? So today we will learn what an even number is and what an odd number is. We will then learn the rules for adding even numbers together, adding odd numbers together, and adding both odd and even numbers together. Let's remember that we need to build off of what we already know. We need to scaffold our learning. First, we will learn some vocabulary words so that we can understand what I am teaching about. And then we will go over some simple examples to learn the steps. Remember, you need to write the vocabulary words and the steps in your math notebook. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? So these are the vocabulary words that we are going to be learning today. We're going to be learning 2 vocabulary words. The first one that I have here is even number, and the definition of an even number is a number that ends in 2, 4, 6, 8, and 0, and can be made into equal pairs. So here, for example, I have the number 2. I drew out 2 triangles, circled them together. I was able to pair them up. So that's an example of an even number. My second definition is an odd number, and that is a number that ends in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 and cannot be made into equal pairs. So for example, I have the number 3 here, and I drew out 3 triangles. I was able to circle 2 of them together. I was able to pair 2 of them together, but I still had 1 left over. So that's an example of an odd number where you cannot pair all of them together, where you cannot pair all the numbers together. These are some examples of, these are the steps that we are going to be using to work out our problems today. The first step here is to look at the first digit that is in your problem. So I kind of just have a simple problem here using our number 2 and 3 from our vocabulary words. So I just put 2 plus 3 here. So we'll look at our first digit, and we're just going to determine if that first digit is an odd or an even number. The next step, we're going to look at our next digit, the second digit, and determine if that digit is an odd or an even number. And the third step is to add the first and digit together. So we're just going to get the sum, just the addition. That's all we're going to be doing today is adding. So I have the addition sign here. We will add the first and second digit together. When you add those up, you'll write your answer. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 plus 3 equals 5. After you write your answer, you're gonna write the rule that that problem is following. So these are the rules that we have here. Our first rule is even plus an even is gonna give us an even number. An odd number plus an odd number will also give us an even number. And an even number plus an odd number will give us an odd number. And our last rule, an odd number plus an even number is going to give us an odd number. And so right now I am going to give y'all a couple minutes just to write the vocabulary words down and just to write the steps down. I would also suggest on writing the rules down as well. So I'll give y'all a couple minutes just to write that down, okay? So now I am going to show y'all some problems using the steps. If you have any questions while I am showing the problem, please raise your hand, okay? So our first problem that we have is 8 plus 6. That's our first example problem that I'm going to use. So looking at our steps here, let's look at our first digit. Our first digit is 8. Is 8 an odd or an even number? That's what we need to determine first. So an even number is any number that ends in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So 8 is an even number. Our second digit, our second step here is to look at our second digit and determine if that is an odd or an even number. Number 6 is an even number. Our third step, we are going to be adding our first and second digit together. So 8 plus 6, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then we'll write our answer down. Okay, so you're going to add the first and second digit together. Step 3, step 4, you're going to write your answer of what you get. Our answer, you're going to write the rule that the problem is following. So to be helpful, determine what your answer is, if it's an odd or an even number. And remember, we have 1 and 4 here, 14. We just need to look at the last digit. 4 is all that we need to look at. So 4 is an even number. And then write the rule that the problem is following. So even, even, even. You're going to write even plus even equals, and your answer, even. So it's your first digit plus your second digit equals your last digit. Okay, you're just writing odd or even, determining if it's odd or even. So this is our first example. Does anybody have any questions? Right, so we'll go on to our second example. Okay, so going on to our second example, I have 5 plus 7. So looking at our steps, looking at our first digit here, is it an odd or an even number? Is 5 an odd or an even number? 5 is an odd number. Looking at our second digit, is 7 an odd or an even number? Seven is an odd number. Okay, third step. I'm going to add the first and the second digit together. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 plus 7 equals 12. And then you're going to write that answer as your fourth step. Write what you get after you add the first and second digit together. And then we need to determine what 12 is. Remember, we just need to look at the last number here. We have 1, 2 for 12. 2 is an even number. We need to write that rule. So odd for 5, odd equals an even. Okay, so that's the rule that we got for this one. Does anyone have any questions? Raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, so then we're going to go on to our third example. So for our third example problem, I have 2 plus 9. Look at our first digit. Determine if it's an odd or an even number. 2 is an even number. Looking at our second digit, step 2, look at your second digit, determine if it's an odd or an even number. Number 9 is an odd number. And then our third step, add the first and second digit together. So we have 2 plus 9, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 2 plus 9 equals 11. Add those together and write your answer. Fourth step, write your answer. Okay, our answer also has 2, number 11, 2 numbers, 1, 1. Just need to look at the last digit, number 1 is an odd number. And now we're going to write our rule for it. Okay, so an even number, first digit plus our second digit was an odd number, equals our answer, which was odd. So that is our third example. Does anybody have any questions? Raise your hand if you have any questions. All right, then we're going to move on to our fourth example. Okay, so for our fourth example, I have 3 plus 4. So we're going to look at our first digit, 3. Is 3 an odd or an even number? 3 is an odd number. Second step, look at our second digit, 4. Is 4 an odd or an even number? 4 is an even number. Third step, we're going to add the first and second digit. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 plus 4 equals 7. Fourth step, write your answer. Okay, and then we're going to see what our answer is. Is our answer an odd or an even number? Number 7 is an odd number. So we're going to write our rule that the problem is following. Our first digit was odd, plus our second digit, which was even, equals our answer, which was odd. So that was our fourth example and our last example. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've gone over? Raise your hand if you have any questions. So now I will hand out a worksheet for you and your partner to work on together. I will set a timer for 10 minutes. You and your partner will have 10 minutes to work on the problems together. Okay, so our timer just went off. I need 4 volunteers. Raise your hand if you would like to volunteer to solve and explain a problem on the whiteboard from the worksheet. Each volunteer will write the problem on the whiteboard and show and explain how you got your answer. Okay, so 4 volunteers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Today we learned creating the rules for the sum of 2 even numbers, the sum of 2 odd numbers, and the sum of 1 even number plus 1 odd number. Y'all did great today. Next we will cover the sign rules with negative numbers. Thank y'all.